Recording. All right. Hey guys, I'm Tori Townley here on the SERVEbrew. I hope that you guys are having an awesome day. We are just wrapping up Easter. Today's the day after Easter. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I don't know where you were at in the world, but I know Jesus did amazing things. I've been seeing crazy social media posts, just tons. My feed is blowing up with egg hunts and salvations and beautiful worship and just a lot of fun. I love what God does in the church when his people get together for one cause and celebrating his life. So thanks to everybody who sacrificed and worked so hard to reach out to your community and to make a difference, and just know like heaven got bigger and it's still getting bigger. So shout out to everybody. Today I'm so excited. I have a new friend who is going to be sharing some really great and deep wisdom and insight. She has an amazing testimony, and I'm just super honored. She is from Yakima, Washington, at Together Church. Pastor Mekon Carter is the pastor there. We love those guys. So blessed to have them as part of Church of the Highlands, Serve Day movement. Just great people we look up to. So please give a shout out to Miss Nina Vickers.
Hey, welcome. It's so good to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time to hang out. I have been wanting to meet you or someone at your church this time, because like I don't know if I've shared this before, but at the Dream Center I run the cafe ministry, and so that is where we open up the Dream Center doors for people who are living on the streets to come in, take a hot shower. We show a video of a message. Sometimes it's Highlands, sometimes we do like a live speaking, and sometimes we just YouTube different churches. And I was like, you know what, I think Pastor Mekon kind of has that vibe that they would appreciate. So a couple weeks ago we showed one. It was like an old sermon, like Vision Day from like 2017 or something old. I just found it and we were playing it, and I have never seen that audience so quiet. Like usually they're up and down, real distracted. You could have heard a pin drop. They were completely mesmerized. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting there just like, Jesus is awesome, thank you. And then all of a sudden Nina's face pops up, and Pastor Mekon's telling her testimony, like, I just heard this, I just met her, we're friends, oh my gosh. And our people are like getting saved, and it's just beautiful. So all that to say, Nina, you're amazing, and your story is so powerful, and it's changing people all the way in Birmingham, across the whole country. So
thank you so much. Yes, like Tori said, I'm the outreach director here at Together Church in Yakima, Washington, little Yakima, Washington. And I've had the honor and privilege of being on staff for about 2 years. And I do have a crazy story. So I was raised by drug addicts. So it was no surprise or shock by the age of 14 that I started using meth myself, and then moved out at the age of 16 out of my parents' house because I just thought that I knew it all. I had all the answers to life. And by the age of 17, I got pregnant. Had my first son at 18 years old. I was obviously not raised in the church, not raised living for Christ. And then by the age of 21, I had gotten my first felony charge. It was a possession of meth charge. So on my 21st birthday, I went to jail for the very first time. And during that time, I was in and out of abusive relationships. Shortly after my 21st birthday, I met a man who pretty much sold me the dream. Told me he was going to love me, take care of me, and he did that. He built me up and then tore me down in the matter of about a month's time. And he kept me clothed, he kept me high, and then shortly after, about the month time, he started taking me to parties and forcing me to have sex for money. So I was trafficked as an adult, not even knowing obviously what the word trafficking meant, just knowing that I was selling my body for money, and all that money was going to him. And so it wasn't until years later that I would hear that term. But about 6 years ago, I gave my life to Jesus. I had gotten out of that abusive, crazy lifestyle. About 2 years later, a year after that, got married to a man who I've now been married to for 12 years. The first 6 years were really rocky. We drank all the time, definitely weren't living for God. We were in and out of church, but never really connected to a church. Like we would come on a Sunday, I would cry at the altar, cry out to Jesus, like, I want something different. And then by Sunday evening, I would be drunk and cheating on my husband again, just not knowing how to live differently. And about 6 years ago, someone posted a message from Pastor Mikon on my Facebook wall and was like, you really need to hear this. And it was a woman who didn't even believe in God. And so I thought, well, if this person who doesn't even believe in God is posting this message on my Facebook wall, I need to watch it. And so I watched it right there in my living room. Rededicated my life to Christ. And in that moment, something shifted. To shout out to all you tech people who make things happen and put it out on the internet, I thoroughly believe that I am saved today because that message, was put up online. And we just decided coming to Together Church, we were going to be all in. So from the moment we came here, we immediately got connected. We immediately got on a team. And anytime the doors were open, we just decided we were going to make church and God a priority. And here we are 6 years later. And God has not just restored my life, but given me a whole new one that I could never, have dreamt for myself. So that's just a short little piece.
So powerful. I love it. I'm amazed. Like every time I hear, I told you this when we first had a call, but every time I hear someone's powerful testimony, I feel like it renews my own salvation, because I just realize how many dimensions God's love has. No matter what, he's going to go after you, whether it's a Facebook message or who knows. Like, it's so beautiful and so powerful. And clearly God is using your story to really impact people. And technology, again, is using your story to be traveled, and it's amazing. That's so cool. So cool. I love it. Love it. So tell me a little bit about how, from you guys getting so plugged in, how did you become the outreach director at Together Church? What did that look like?
So we have a school of leadership here at Together Church. It's called Together School of Leadership. It's 2 years, and halfway through my second year, I got hired. So I wasn't a leader. I know I wasn't a leader in the church. Technically, I didn't have like a title. I was playing bass on the worship team. And I know there wasn't an outreach division. We had our pastors in our church definitely has an outreach heart, but there wasn't like an outreach division. And so our pastors just recognized and realized they really wanted to outlove our community and have an expression of that. And so by realizing they wanted to outlove our community, realized that there was a need for, a role to be able to take that over. And so halfway through my second year of School of Leadership, pastor comes up to me basically, and he's like, hey, I want to meet with you. And here's this position. We would love for you to be a part of this. And he told me, even if you don't want this full-time position, I'm still going to make a way for you to be a part of it. So I was like, well, yes, holy smokes, me, just feeling honored and privileged, obviously feeling like me. And so yeah, I got hired on full time for the outreach director, and it's really just exploded and been taking shape ever since. So yeah, I got hired, and we want to have an impact locally, nationally, and globally. So Together Outreach is a division of Together Church, and Together Outreach exists to outlove our city, nation, and world back to life through acts of generosity, serving, and support. We don't have just one thing. So we don't feel like we need to reinvent the wheel in doing outreach. There are already so many incredible organizations doing a great job in our community. We really just want to come in and fill any gaps that we can, or come alongside community partners and make what they're doing even better. So.
Girl, that's awesome. You have like a whole creed written. It's like, cool. That's tweetable. Hello. I love it though. That's clear vision, and people can jump into that and be part of that and believe it. So yeah. Beautiful, beautiful vision. So tell me a little bit about, first of all, kind of the culture of Together Church. Like, obviously, to outlove the community, like you said, from local all the way to global. Awesome. And then you guys have clearly a very great vision and culture. So tell me the church as a whole, what that looks like, and then a little bit of your process. You said you guys don't reinvent the wheel. So kind of what is your process of figuring out what needs do we go after, which ones do we not, what do we create, what do we empower other people to do? Kind of tell me a little bit about how you shape that up from what the church's heart is, if that makes sense. Some of my questions are very elusive, so I kind of leave it open-ended, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. So Together Outreach exists to make it impossible for people to not know Jesus. That's huge. Like, we exist to make it impossible for people to not know Jesus. So we're basically all about the one.
Love it.
All about the one person. So all of us, we have a saying here where we all have a just one more. So just one more to come to know Christ. So who's your just one more? Like, everyone has a just one more. And so that really is what the church is all about. We will leave the 99 every time to find the one. And so in that, we really want to tie in outreach, obviously, to that. So we're doing whatever we can to outlove people in our community to make sure that they see Christ basically through our actions. And so we can't make people believe in Jesus, but we can introduce them to him to where they have a choice to believe in him or not. And so in outreach, we don't have our own thing. So in choosing, what we're going to do in the community, we work very closely with community partners. So we have part of our outreach team will go and meet with different organizations in our community. Maybe it's a soup kitchen or a clothing bank, or sometimes even the city itself. We'll go meet with them and say, what is it that you guys are doing right now? And what do you need help doing? So we will go and meet, say, with the Union Gospel Mission and say, hey, we'd love to come alongside you and partner with you. We have a Together Day coming up. So we have 2 Together Days every year. It's like one day where we go out in our community, and it's basically an all call. We're asking everyone in the church to come and serve at least a few hours doing something. And so we will go out to an organization like the Union Gospel Mission and say, on this day, we're not looking to do things that they normally do. So we're not looking to go serve in the soup kitchen. We're looking to do something that they can't do. So last spring, we actually demoed a portion of their building that they had no funds or that they had the people to do. We went and demoed part of it so that way they could build an entire new wing of the Union Gospel Mission for people to sleep and for office spaces. And so, like, on a Together Day, we're finding bigger, broader projects to do that involve more people. And then we also have Together Week, which is an entire week long where we serve many, many different organizations. We also have many different events. So last year we had Together Week and we served at 161 separate events. And during that week, we actually do what the organization does, as well as we have some of our own little projects, but those are, once again, are with organizations. So we'll go to a soup kitchen and serve at the soup kitchen, serve homeless people. And then we'll go to the YWCA and do a makeover day with all of the women and children that live in the family shelter. So last year we went and did all of the mom's hair. We did all of their makeup. We did waxing. We did nails, as well as made sure that all of the children had haircuts, before they went back to school. So we do a broad range of things during Together Week, but Together Day is simply bigger projects that the organization typically couldn't do on their own.
That's so cool. So cool, because it's easy to just do the fluffy stuff, which is great because you want people to be able to have a part and be all hands-on and serve at the soup kitchen, because that is important too. But then to be able to be like, hey, we are going to do something that no one else can do and really make a huge difference. It's so cool to have that, to be able to influence like that. And I'm sure that people are leaning on you guys a lot to see, hey, that's a church who's actually going to step up and make a difference. And then the church, I'm sure the people in the church are just so trusting and like, I can buy into this because we are actually like putting a dent in the stuff that people need to have happen and the needs of the community. So absolutely amazing. But they still get to be hands-on too, even if they're not a demo person. Hey, let's serve in the soup kitchen together week. So cool. So when is Together Week? How do you guys schedule Together Day, schedule Together Week? What's the strategy there?
Yes. So we do one in the spring. And typically when people start to come back into the life of the church. So, and it's strategically placed in the middle of we have Together groups. It's like our small group system. So right in the middle of Together groups, we have Together Day. And so that way we have groups of people that are already doing life together. They're already meeting weekly in homes or in a gym or doing hot yoga. And so they're already meeting together. So we encourage them to go out and pick an event and serve together. So that's why we do one in the spring. And then we also have Together groups in the fall. So kind of the same thing. People are getting right back into routine with school starting again and Together groups starting again. People kind of coming back to church after, the summer is over. And so really trying to capture as many people being able to go and serve in our community as possible. And so that's where Together Day is. And then Together Week is the third week in June. And it's placed there because we try to make it before 4th of July. So before holidays, people start taking vacations, and we want to make sure that it's after school gets out so that way students can come and serve as well. We make sure that we have events where anyone can serve. It doesn't matter your age. There's no age minimum and no age maximum for Together Week or Together Day. And so we want to make sure that we are able to make it available to everyone. Yeah, so the third week in June.
That's awesome because it's an all-call. Everybody's involved. And youth, man, they bring some energy to it.
Yes, they do.
I'm young, but I am getting old. I'm like, I don't have the energy. These people have these students doing car washes. It's awesome, but I'm not that cool. But they bring so much life to it, and everyone sees it, and it's contagious. So it's so cool to have all the generations involved. I love that. Okay, so as far as like planning the projects that you guys are going to do, you said almost 200 projects. That's insane. Do you plan all of those? How do you go about choosing yeses and nos? I'm sure there's endless opportunities you could possibly do. So what does that look like?
Yes. So we have a vetting process where we also realize that all of the events that we do are being bought and paid for by the people of our church. So 10% of every dollar that comes into Together Church goes to Together Outreach. So we've been entrusted with people's money, and so we want to make sure that the organizations that we're partnering with, we vetted. So we talk to the organizations very strategically, and we never want to do something that is going to, hurt the organization. So if we're coming in and we're saying, we want to, give you $40,000, but their budget all year is $40,000, we want to make sure that they're not relying on us solely. And so we definitely vet them. And there's an application process. So I don't plan all of the events. Actually, I last year didn't plan not one event. So we have an incredible outreach team. So we're one church, 3 locations, and at each location there's an outreach director and then a team that works with them to plan every single one of the events from the ground up. And that's actually where we're at kind of right now with Together Week. So the team has already been planning events, working with community partners to say, what's the need right now? We're definitely going to work with you and serve, at that soup kitchen or, at the YWCA. We're going to do those things, but what are some other things that we can come alongside you and partner, with you on? And so the team will submit an application to me, and the applications right now, we're going through Google Forms. We use a Google form, and the team has a Google form. They fill it out completely, and then it goes to the campus outreach director, and then they go over all of the details with that team member. Like, are you sure this event needs 40 people? What are 40 people going to do at this event? Or are 40 people enough? Do you need more people than that? And so they go over every single detail. What time is the event? What organization is the event? What's the organization's mission? If it's someone we've never worked with before, we definitely send someone to go meet with them to make sure that it's aligned with what we believe and what we're doing here at Together Church. And we also have budget. We have a budget to meet. And so we go over every single event and make sure that it's something that's going to be impactful, and something that we believe in, and something that's really going to make a difference. So
I like that it brings so much intentionality and thought, and there's an accountability process with it, because you really put your whole heart into it and what you're doing and believe it 100%. So it sounds like there's a ton of partners that you guys have. How many different partners would you say that you have on average, and how do you officially call them a partner? Is that like your teams just go out and meet these guys and they form the relationship? Is that something that goes on all year long? Just kind of how is that structured?
Last year during Together Week, we partnered with 43 different organizations. Wow. And with that, we have basically a database of organizations that we have partnered with in the past that have already been vetted and approved. And then if there are new ones coming in, then we make sure, like I said, that we vet them. And so either myself or an actual campus director will go meet with their director, or we'll go meet with them to make sure that we don't want to cause harm to their organization, and if sometimes things just they're not in line with what we're doing or with what they're doing. And so we really want to make sure that everything that we're doing is solid. And so typically if it's a new partner, we will send a campus director to go meet with them. Typically not me, sometimes me, if it's a bigger partner, if it's a school adoption or something like that, typically I'll go meet with them. But that's only right now. I mean, we're 3 locations and the 3 locations are within driving distance. Eventually that won't happen. I'm sure that won't happen. So, so typically a campus director will go meet with a new community partner, and that's someone that's saying, we believe in what you're doing, and we want to come alongside you and partner in any way that we can. We consider them a community partner. Sometimes they'll get monetary assistance in an event, and sometimes it's really just people. It's just volunteers coming alongside and doing what needs to be done for that organization.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I really love the idea of not reinventing the wheel and going through the people who are already doing it. I think Elevation Church does pretty much everything that way too. I think it's brilliant. And also, I was just thinking about it, like you guys are 3 campuses, 42 partners, amazing, but it is scalable. So if you guys who are watching, if you're like a newer church or smaller church, that's cool. Like find just 1 or 2. Like it doesn't have to be crazy. It can grow, but it's a sustainable thing. But I would just say like it's valuable no matter what. So find 1 or 2 partners that you can really get through. Here we partner a lot with discipleship programs and just like live-in kind of stuff, because Dream Center, we don't have any sort of live-in situation. So we got guys coming off the streets who have addictions, or they just need a place to stay, and we don't have that housing here, but there's tons of them across the city. And so we partner with them and invest in them and have great relationships, and that helps us to be able to funnel through and give life and continue to be part of the process and do our part. So just to kind of reiterate what you're saying, like it is valuable to partner and not feel like you have to do everything on your own.
Yes, if a church wanted to start, a Together Week, or a week where they're going out and serving their community, it doesn't have to be called Together Week, but a week where they're going out and serving, or a day where they're, giving back to the community and going out there and serving. Oftentimes we find events that don't cost anything. So if you're a church that's, 300 people, 1,000 people, and 200 people, 100 people, and you're like, okay, how do we start going out and making a difference in our community with an outreach expression? Start with your community partners. Oftentimes they have things happening, events happening, or things that are happening, on day to day, where they just need volunteers. A lot of the events that we're doing, I said 161 separate events, but 42 different partners. So a lot of events that we did were just going right alongside and doing what an organization already does. And that costs almost nothing or nothing a lot of times.
Wow. Yeah. See, so simple to think.
Yeah.
Just be willing. That's awesome.
Yes.
So tell me a few of like, okay, I know you've told me that you guys do school adoptions. You just mentioned that. I would love to let everyone hear the process of that, because I know that's a beautiful thing, being impacted in the community, and maybe a few others, jail ministry or whatever kind of pops up that we can feature and really zone in on a little bit. Start with schools though. That one's so cool.
Yes. Okay. So about 6 years ago, our church recognized that we wanted to have an impact in our community, and where could we really hone in on and make an impact that's lasting? Well, we have an elementary school that's right down the road from our broadcast campus. And this elementary school, the test scores were the lowest in our city or in the valley. The school itself, almost, I don't want to say 100%, but almost 100 of the students who go to the elementary school are living in poverty. And the school itself, there's no playgrounds at all. It's the only school in our community where there's no playground, like, whatsoever. And there is no PTA. So if you know anything about PTA, Parent Teacher Association, I think is what that's called. So PTA, if you know anything about that, PTA does a lot in a school. So they help with volunteering and finding, parents and people in the community that want to come and volunteer in the school. They do fundraisers. They help with after school programs. So this school had none of that. No PTA. No one raising funds for the school, coming in and helping with testing. And so we basically went to the school and said, we're your neighbor, and we would love to partner with you. We would love to, whatever that means. So what is it that you would need? And so going alongside of them, we've done many things throughout the years. Every single year, something that we've done is we have bought backpacks and school supplies for every single student for the last 6 years. And we recognize that's just a little thing, but many of the students, their parents have multiple children. And, being a parent myself, I realized that starting school is expensive every single school year. So if we can alleviate some of that stress from the parents as well as some of the teachers were going out and buying, school supplies for their students because the students just didn't have them. And so we've been able to do that the last 6 years. And just the last couple years, we've done something a little bit different. And we have partnered matched their back to school night or their meet your teacher night, which happens before school starts, with a big, huge backpack giveaway. We call it their back to school bash. So before we did the back to school bash, the school was having a hard time getting parents there, getting students there. And so about 15%, 15, would come to their meet your teacher night. And that's where they meet your teacher. They get to see their classroom for the first time. They get to fill out any forms that are necessary. And the teachers really get to find out who the students are and the students who their teachers are. Some kind of to be able to alleviate some of that anxiety of going to a new school and things like this. And so we partnered the back to school bash with the meet your teacher night. And so the students come onto the grounds, and when they come on, we have people in the parking lot waving them in. We have volunteers at the front doors meeting with them. They have maps of where the classrooms are, and they help them find their classroom. We have volunteers in the classrooms helping parents fill out forms, helping students find their desks. And then in the classroom, we actually have volunteers giving them the backpacks and the school supplies and writing their name on everything. And then as soon as they get done meeting their teacher, they get a wristband and they can go into their back field or playground and and they can go out there and there's a huge bash. So we have inflatables, we've got popcorn, hot dogs, chips, soda, face painting. We just have military comes, the police department comes. And so there's this huge back to school bash, really just to love them and to get them excited about coming to school. And so we've done that. We've also done teacher appreciation. We've volunteered in classrooms. We do their field day every year because, like I said, they don't have a PTA. And so any type of event that they're doing, we've just come alongside them, partnered with them, and we're basically their PTA. And so we've done that. This coming year, we're also doing something called Fewer Than Five. So the students have a lot of absences. Just overall, just an average, the students miss a lot of school. And so the school has this emphasis, fewer than five. Well, every month that you have fewer than 5 absences total for the entire year, you get a prize. And so we've partnered with them on that. And then at the end of the school year, there will be a raffle. So every month you have fewer than 5 absences, not per month, but per total for the school year, you get a raffle ticket and it goes into a drawing for a prize. And the student gets a prize as well as the parent gets a prize, because we recognize it's not just on the students. A lot of times it's the parents, going, no, you need to go to school. And if the child or the student goes, I don't want to go to school, or sometimes the parents don't have means to get them to school. So it's really an incentive for the parents to make it a priority for the kids to go to school, and for the kids to make it a priority to, miss as few days as possible. So that way they can really way possible. And so that's what we do with schools. We're always tweaking it, and it's becoming different. Just in the last couple of months, we've officially adopted 2 more elementary schools. So every campus that we have has an official partner, has an official adopted elementary school. And we recognize that every adoption looks differently. Just like every child is different, every school is different. And so the needs are different. So we cater what we're doing to the needs of that school. Once again, really just trying to find a gap and fill it. So it's been incredible.
Wow, come on. I love it. I think it's so cool. You guys are the PTA. You are the family. And I can just imagine being a little kid walking up and for the first time, like seeing school as a magical place.
Yes.
How beautiful does that make the rest of the year when you're like on the playground and you're remembering the moment you were on the moon bounce and you got your new backpack and you had people who loved you. Like that creates an environment of heaven that sets the tone for the whole year. And it's amazing.
Yes.
So cool. So how did you guys get that type of favor in the schools? I know there's some people who probably would love to serve in the schools, and sometimes it's like easy to do a painting project or something like that, but how did you get so much just free access as a religious group to just go in and do all this stuff?
Yes, obviously we know there's a very definite line between, or separation between church and state. And so we recognize there's a very thin line that we're walking. So we went into the school with no agenda. So we didn't go in and say, we want to do this. We're your neighbor and we want to come in. And we didn't go in, throw a weight around. We didn't do any of that. We simply went in and said, we are your neighbor and we are the church right down the road. And we want to be just that. And so where are some needs that you have? So we said, this is who we are. We don't want to come in and preach. We don't want to come in. And honestly, when we're there, we don't talk about church unless we're asked. So sometimes we're asked, hey, who are you? Or I see that tea all around. What is that? So unless we're asked, we don't say it. And now that we've been in the school 6 years, the parents know, the teachers know. So now they'll even come to us and say, can you pray for us? But in the beginning, it's just going in and saying, we're not coming in and trying to be forceful. We really just want to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and we just want to love. And so whatever the school needs, whether it's painting, whether it's tutoring, whether it's needing help with an after-school project, whether it's backpacks. So we just went in and said, this is who we are. And we promise we are not going to come in and cross that line. We recognize there's that line. We are not going to cross it. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that this is a healthy relationship on both sides. And even throughout the years, having to reevaluate that and say, what are the needs of the school? Are they still the same as they were, a few years ago? And now something so incredible has happened. You're saying, how did this happen? Honestly, it had to have been a move of God, because now there are every single elementary school, every single secondary school, every single high school in Yakima has a church partner. So 6 years ago, we were the first ones. And then shortly afterwards, there was another church that came into another school and said, we really want to, help out as well. And so now the school district actually came to the churches and said, we see a couple of adoption models. How are you guys doing it? How are you making it and still being healthy? How are you still keeping that definition between church and state, but really making a difference in these schools? Because now what we're seeing with the schools is kids want to come to school. They recognize who their church partner is, and test scores have gone up. So we're not just coming in and going, oh, we're the church, we're going to come in and make a difference, but we're really seeing, students' lives change, parents' lives, become different, and them making different choices. And we're also seeing, the school districts come in and go, okay, there's something to this. So much so that we have a meeting with they call it faith partner. So every faith partner, as well as every school, is represented at a meeting once a month. We all come together and say, what are some things in the school district that are needs? Can any faith partner come alongside and partner with this school to make this happen? So for instance, last year before the end of the school year, that we had one of our meetings, and one of the secondary schools who weren't, so junior high, they didn't have a church partner yet. And they said, we had told our students that if they could meet the standard, just the standard, not going above and beyond, but meet the standard for state testing, that we would throw them a party. Well, guess what? They did it, and now we don't have funding. So we're kind of scrambling. Can we want to throw them an ice cream party or cookies or something? Can a church step up and do that? And we're like, you know what? We're going to do that. So we went and bought ice cream and root beer, and we had root beer floats or Coke floats for every single student, and they were coming, and it's incredible to see what has happened. And now there are other districts close to us coming to the meeting saying, we want to model what you're modeling. We want to model what it is that you're doing. So for now, a school to come to the church and say, okay, there's something here, has been absolutely incredible. And we can only say, it's Jesus.
That is so wild. So wild. And that is something that is really everybody that I talk to, the people who are the wisest, and I ask them, how do you crack the code of your community? How do you get favor? How do you make a difference for real? The common theme that I hear is you listen. Like, yeah. You do not come in with answers. You listen. What are the needs of the community? What are they seeing? What are they feeling? And that's how favor is won. You couldn't have come in with this plan of, we're going to have all these churches adopt all these schools, and they're going to go in and do this, this, and that. You couldn't have done it that way. Only God can give that favor, and that comes with humility. So absolutely amazing, brilliant, and so encouraging. Like, it's that simple. It can probably be scary at times. I know you and I have talked about that. Like, how do you just go in and ask open-ended, what can we do? Because that could be crazy. And I know you've given some wisdom on that. What would you say to that if someone's scared to just go and be like, what can I do? And feel like they don't have enough to offer? What would you tell somebody in that situation?
Yeah, so it is scary going, okay, so we're a church and you are a school, and maybe it's not a church and a school, maybe it's a church and a jail, or maybe it's, whatever it is in your community, finding a gap, finding a need in your community and going, okay, well, how do I fill that need? And I don't have all the answers. And recognizing that, okay, I don't have all the answers, but I'm just going to open the door and go knock on the door. I'm going to knock on the door and see and have a conversation, and just be willing to honestly have the courage to step out and go, okay, so I know there's a definite line between church and state. So I know the answer might be no, but what if it's yes? What if it's yes? And then what if it's yes? And really going from there and leaning on God and, going into that conversation with an open mind, with an open heart, and going, okay, I don't have all the answers, and I recognize that. But going in there and just listening and going, what are the needs of this? And maybe we can just do one thing. So it didn't start off, our partnership didn't start off with, like you said, with going, we're going to try to have every church adopted or every school adopted, and we're going to try to come in there and do all these things. It did not start off like that. It started off where we see a school down the road who potentially has some needs. What if we can help with that? So going in with the what if mentality and going in with an open mindset, with listening and not being afraid. So not being afraid to go, okay, the answer might be no, but what if it's yes?
What if it's yes?
What if it's yes?
Absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
Love it. And it's so, sometimes we're asked to dream big. And if you're a pastor, you're a church leader, you want to dream big and have all these grand plans. And that's great. Like, I think God wants us to dream big. But at the same time, I think his dreams are just one more thing. Like, are you all about the one? Because I will bless that. He blesses and favors that type of mentality. And that's when the world is handed to you. So such a beautiful story of how God is using you guys and just really making a true lasting impact in the community because of that humility. So thank you for that wisdom.
Yes.
What are a few other, I know I could go on for hours about all of your wisdom. It's amazing. Give me some other quick snapshots of some other ministries. We talked about schools, beautiful. I really want you to tell us about, of course, jail ministry, but the senior prom that you guys just did. I cannot wait to hear how that was. I have been saving it. That is why we scheduled this SERVEbrew for today and not 2 weeks ago. So please, gush.
Yes. So just recently, we had our spring together day. And oh my gosh, it was so incredible. And so one of the things that we did was we had a senior prom, and we actually did 2 of them. And so we had 2 different models intentionally to see, okay, if we were to do this in the future, if it's successful, please let it be successful. Which one works the best, or which model, like, how does it look? And so we did 2 different senior proms. We did one in a assisted living facility where there are a few hundred live-in senior citizens. So senior prom, but senior citizens. And so what we recognized is that there's this group of people, and there's a few different groups, but one of the groups of people that is often forgotten about, at least in our community, is senior citizens. So the older generation. And so we really wanted to include them on something. And the mindset behind it was, we're just simply going to come and love. That's it. We're just going to show them a good time. We're going to love them. And so we did one at the assisted living facility. And at that senior prom, we brought in hairstylists, we brought in makeup artists, we brought in, the design team basically, and all of these outreach volunteers or people who decided to volunteer, to sign up to get volunteered or to serve. They signed up for different shifts during the day to either do hair, do makeup, to set up the prom, to do decor. And then we had a DJ come in and spin the oldies. And we decorated. I mean, both places were really elegant. And then for the assisted living facility, we did it between 2 and 4 p.m. So it was after lunch, but before dinner. And so we had like a dessert bar with cupcakes, moon pies, and just different things that we thought they'd really enjoy. And so it was absolutely incredible. So that was one. And then we did one at a senior center. So we partnered with the city. And in our city, we have this pretty large senior center. And so because we partnered with the city, they gave us the facility for nothing, so for free. So that was absolutely incredible. And we just transformed it. We used pipe and drape, and then balloons and tulle and like Christmas lights to really line the entryway. So when they entered, it was like entering a whole new facility. And so we had people in the parking lot waving them in. We had volunteers helping, people out of their car or out of their transportation, because we had people come from nursing homes and come from assisted living facilities and just different communities. So they came that way. And so we had people helping them in. We gave a flower to every single person who came. They could get dressed up or they could get dressed down. We partnered with different clothing organizations in our community, and we were able to give out dresses and ties and dress shirts to people who potentially couldn't afford them or didn't have one. And so we were able to give those away, and then we had food. So at the senior center, we had like waiters and waitresses, and they had a full-on menu. And so it was really, really elegant. There were balloons everywhere, and some of the music that was being requested was so sweet. So at one point there was like Bruno Mars, and I'm like, okay, did one of our volunteers request that? No, it was not. It was one of our guests. And so it really was incredible. And what we saw from that is husband and wife were able to come who had never been to the prom. We saw people in their 80s and 90s come and just have such a great time. And we have had letters and cards just pouring in from the guests that were able to come to the senior prom saying, thank you so much. That meant the world to me. I was never able to go to prom, or I wasn't able to go to prom with my husband or with my wife. And so if you could please do this again, we would be so grateful. And so we also had a photo booth. And oftentimes at photo booths, you have like digital ways to get photos, but we didn't do that. We made sure they were printed out for them so they could get their pictures right then and there. It really was amazing. It was like a magical night.
Oh my gosh. I was definitely stalking you all day long. Like, come on, Nina, post those pictures. Come on. Oh my gosh. They were so sweet. If y'all do it again, I'm going to come. I have to. I'm going to book it and be there. That is heaven on earth.
Yes, it was heaven on earth.
So whose idea was the senior prom? Where did that come from?
It was the team. And so we were throwing out different ideas for Together Day, and we knew we wanted to do something with schools. Mm-hmm. So with every single school that we've partnered with, we wanted to do like a service project, whether it was painting or landscaping. And so, but we wanted to have another twist to it and do something different, something fun. And so we were throwing out different ideas, and then someone's like, what about a senior prom? And I'm like, what do you mean senior prom? And they're like, senior citizens. And we were really trying to just capture like groups of people or areas in our community that are forgotten about or underserved. And so we recognize schools oftentimes are underserved, forgotten about, or, hey, don't worry about it. The bonds are going to cover it. Don't worry about it. Volunteers can cover it, or the teachers have it. The staff has it. And so we recognize that is an area of need. And then senior citizens. So senior prom.
Absolutely. So much fun. I love when God just gives you bizarre ideas and he makes heaven from it. Like, that's how we did a special needs Easter egg hunt at Baton Rouge like a long time ago. And it's still going to this day. It's probably about 8 or 9 years old at this point. But it was just, we had a blank calendar. It was SERVEbrew week, and we had to fill up 7 to 10 days of outreaches constantly. And a few of us were sitting down and we just wrote down, hey, special needs Easter egg hunt. And it is, people have, their lives have been changed. Like, God is so cool how creativity is a big piece of it. You can't always be practical. Like, hey, let's just dream and see what God does and take a risk. It could have failed, but you guys went all out and it was magical. That's so
It was magical, and we will definitely do it again.
That's awesome.
Like, definitely do it again.
Dates, and I'm gonna come.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring my husband, and we'll dance the night away and serve, and it'll be awesome.
Yes.
That's so cool. I love it. Okay, so are there any other outreaches that you want to share about? Or, oh golly, we have been talking for almost an hour, and I love it. You are the best. You are so colorful. Like, I haven't even had to think. It's just natural. So
Oh.
everybody's loving it. That's awesome. But like any other quick thoughts, practical advice that you'd want to share, or outreaches you'd want to feature, that people can learn from you guys about or be inspired by?
So we do jail ministry, and we do it a little bit differently, yes. And so basically, we've created this kit, and this kit includes decision cards where inmates can get Jesus, give their life to Christ. They can get baptized either in the jail, or if they're getting ready to be released, they can get signed up to get baptized at one of our physical locations, or we want to help get them connected to a local church in their area. So something that we realized is that, yes, while they're in there, they can find Christ and get baptized, but what happens after? And so it's really important to follow up and go, okay, how do we get them connected after they get out? And so they can get connected to a local church before they even get out, even if they're in the Yakima County Jail or in Sunnyside Jail, but they live in Oregon or they live in Seattle. We have a whole list of churches that we want to help get them connected to, as well as who can we get them connected to, the church's connection process, when their service times are, what services they offer as far as maybe like a Celebrate Recovery or something like that. And so we try to get them connected to a local church before they even get out, if they like to get connected. And then the back side of the connection card has prayer requests. And so we have that, and we have a DVD that goes into the jail. It has a bumper from our pastor welcoming them, praying for them, a full worship set, and then it has a full message from beginning all the way through altar call from our pastor. And then those connection cards are handed out, as well as it's called a Live Out Loud magazine, a magazine that our pastor wrote specifically for them in that moment. So, okay, I'm feeling my heart race. I'm feeling like, okay, I just gave my life to Jesus. What are my next steps? Okay, I want to get baptized, but what does that mean? I want to get connected to a local church, but how do I live that out practically, once I get out of jail? And so we have this magazine that every single one of them get, every single one of the inmates who come to either a faith unit pod, which is an actual pod within the jail who is specifically faith-based, or we actually have what's called, in the jail is called English Bible Study. But we have Together Church that actually goes into the jail, and we do physical like church services, but with our pastor. So it's like we're taking Together Church right in there. And so we don't go and preach. Our pastor preaches right from the TV. And just like I was saved on a video message, hundreds and hundreds of men and women are being saved by a video message. And so we get connected with them afterwards. So we have this church service within the jail, and then we have an entire group of people that meets every single week, and they pray over every single decision. They write a postcard to them celebrating the decision or helping them get connected to a local church in their area. And we have seen life change after life change after life change. And so that's something that we're doing. And I think that we honestly are doing it pretty well. We can obviously learn and grow in many different areas, but just by seeing the life change that has happened by people who have been in jail or had, they've been in and out and in and out and in and out, and now they're in the church serving. So they gave their life to Christ in the jail, got baptized in the jail, and now they're serving, and they have their kids back, and they're, have a full-time job, and they've never worked before. So just seeing that, oh man, it makes it all worth it. And so you asked how is maybe one way that we can be praying for you. And honestly, we're trying to get into more prisons and jails. And so
I like that. That's the dream. That's the dream. Cool.
That's the dream. Yeah.
So what I love how thoughtful you guys are and so intentional of what is anything this person could possibly need, whether it's from us or from somewhere else. Like, sounds like you've done a ton of research of what are the churches and what are their service times and what do they offer and are they going to be able to accept you? Like, there is so much deep thought and personal action that you guys are taking that I just think it's really cool how intentional you are to cherish people. And I think that God is blessing that. Clearly it sounds amazing, and I know that it's true. Like, a video message from your church does make a difference. I am here to testify that it does. I've seen it happen, and just really, really cool how intentional you guys are with that stuff. Is that the way that you guys got the favor in the jails? Is that kind of the same thing that happened in the schools? Like you just started by asking, or what? What did that?
Yes. So just like that. So we recognize, like I talked about in the beginning, like we really want to fill the gap and we want to listen. So what are the needs in our community? And I remember being in jail, and I remember being in jail and reading my Bible and wanting something different, and then getting out and going to a church and going, I don't look like these people. Everyone knows I just got out of jail. They know everything about me. It wasn't the church. It was me. But feeling like I'm all alone. Going, what can we do to get connected and not feel like coming to church? So trying to give them the process beforehand. So when you come to church, there's a red tent you can go through. There are going to be people who can help get you connected. We have people who would love to pray with you. So they know beforehand, you're welcome here. You're accepted here. Yeah, you may have tattoos on your face. Yeah, you may have tattoos on your neck. But guess what? We love you right where you're at. Or hey, you may be in a suit and tie. We love you. Like no matter what you look like, no matter what your background is, no matter what you've been through, we want you to know beforehand that we love you. And so with that, we just went, and I called the jail. So, hey, how do we go about, having church services in the jail? And they said, we actually have churches come in all the time, and we have time slots. You just have to go through training. Okay. So we went through training, and then we found out, well, we have this faith unit pod, a pod of inmates that are learning day in and day out about Jesus. And I said, okay, well, how can we get in there? Well, you need to talk to the chaplain. Okay. Well, can I have the chaplain's phone number? So it's just like, okay, I'm going to push it a little bit. I'm going to ask the question, and maybe they'll tell me no, but maybe they'll tell me yes. What if they say yes? And so meeting with the chaplain, and then just going from there and asking the chaplain, what are the needs? So once again, stripping it back down and saying, this isn't about us. This isn't about us forcing our way. This is what are the needs of the inmates, and the inmates, and of the chaplain and the jail, and what are they seeing? And so recognizing that they really did need assistance. So we now actually provide pencils to the jail. We provide notebooks to the jail. We've bought coffee. We have bought books to help them. So just different books to help them with life, whether it's Battlefield of the Mind or Swipe Right, just we bought them books so they can have that. We've bought Bibles, both English and in Spanish, for the jail. And just recently we got into another jail, and they actually first they said no. They said, no, we don't do that. And I said, okay, so you don't allow any volunteers to come in? And they said, yes, we do, but it's an as first come, first serve basis. And so I just said, hey, could we have a sit down meeting? And they said yes. So I'd like to show you, because sometimes it's hard over the phone to go, hey, this is who I am, and this is what we'd like to do. Would that be okay? So I said, hey, this is who I am. I'd love to be able to meet with you. And so I met with them and showed the sergeant of the jail in another city, this is what we're doing in Yakima, and this is what we've seen from that. This is the life change that we've seen. We would love to be able to bring this to Sunnyside. We recognize that your jail isn't the same. The needs aren't necessarily the same, but what are the needs of the jail? Come to find out, they don't have a chaplain. Come to find out, they don't have Bibles. None. They have like one Bible for the entire jail, and like the 13 different pods. And so it's a littler jail, but the 13 different pods, they have one torn up Bible that they're sharing with everyone. And so we said, okay, well, what if we come in and we have every Saturday, we would like an hour and a half to come in and have church. And would we be able to come in and bring a baptismal once every 2 months? And he's like, I'm not sure about that. How does that work? And so just breaking it down for him, but also making sure that we share the life change that we've seen. Hey, we don't want to just come in and do this just to, hey, we're together at church, we're coming in to do this. No, people's lives are changing. And so we recently got into the Sunnyside jail, and they've given us an hour and a half every Saturday, and they first said no. This coming weekend, we're actually doing baptisms for the very first time in there. And so, and the Yakima County Jail, the chaplains that are already full-time staff there do it. So they do the baptisms. But now we're coming in and we actually get to baptize them and bring a photography team and really just get to pray with them and spend some time with them. So yeah, God's moving.
Isn't it like the best adventure to just be a people love her? You get to go after people as the best adventure. You never know what's going to happen, but what if they say yes? That is my favorite tagline. What if they say yes? I'm going to keep that, Nina. I'm going to vote you. That's amazing. So beautiful. And I love that it came a lot out of your own perspective and your own pain and what you had seen. And that's why I think it's so important that all of our testimonies are put to use in a way. Like, even if it's something like small, a piece of your story. I was in jail at one point in time, and I know how that feels. How can I go back and make someone else's experience different and better? And we've all walked through a little pain like that. It can be something as small and dumb as I have bad breath after lunch, let me do a gum giveaway downtown. It could be something as big as jail sucks, let me fix it for somebody and give them hope at the end. So beautiful, brilliant wisdom from you. Thank you so much. I know you said, I was going to ask, but you said praying that you guys can get into more jails. Are there any other dreams that we can be praying with you guys for, encouraging you for, anything fresh on the horizon besides that?
I think that's it. Honestly, like, we're really trying to focus in and hone in on the school adoption, like making sure that it is the best that it can be. And, moving forward, obviously we're seeing different school districts come forward and say, hey, how do we do this? So, how can we facilitate that the best that we can, to make sure that it's making the biggest impact, as well as we have had a little bit of pushback with getting into some local prisons. And so really prayer about that, because I know that God is going to make a way. And so, just giving us the right words and the right perspective, when we go in to talk to, whether it's the chaplain or the warden or the sergeants, at the prisons. I'm getting ready in the next couple weeks to meet with the sergeants in local prisons, or local-ish. They're in our side of the state. And so, that's something that's coming that we're believing for. And so, that's prison ministry. Yeah.
We're going to pray that God anoints your words and your whole team.
Yes.
I'm going to pray in a second, but if people are interested in maybe learning more about anything that you said today, if they could get in touch with you or someone on your team, what's the best way for them to reach out?
The best way is they can reach me at Nina, Nina, @together.church, or they can email the team at outreach@together.church. There's no .net, no .org, no .nothing. It's outreach@together.church. Yeah, we'd love to speak with them. Any church, it doesn't matter the size or the team, we would love to meet with them. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for making yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. Honestly, this has been an honor and a privilege. I watched SERVEbrew. Like, some of my greatest outreach heroes have been on here, so I feel honored. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes.
You're one of my biggest heroes too. I'm so pumped that you are on SERVEbrew. I'm so excited, like a little kid. But thank you. It's been a blast. This is one of my favorite ones because we could go on for hours, and I haven't even put a dent in your beautiful brain. But, let's just pray if that's cool. I'm gonna pray for you guys, and then we'll close out.
Okay.
All right, Father, I thank you so much, Jesus, for Nina. I thank you for the beautiful way that we just happened to become friends a few weeks ago. And just the amazing wisdom that she has, God, her beautiful story, and how you just are using that, the depths that she's walked through, you're using that to create heights for others, Jesus, and just to be a hand who reaches out and gives hope. I pray that you just anoint her words, Father, like she will be like Esther in the king's palace, God, that she will have favor as she approaches thrones that are intimidating, thrones that she could maybe risk a lot before, because it's on behalf of your people, because it's for the people, because it's for the ones who are hurting and broken outside of the palace. I pray that you give her that favor, her and her team and the whole church, God, because you know their heart is so humble. Their heart is after the one, just like yours is, Jesus. Pray that you keep that preciousness, that innocence, and that humility guarded, and that you just use that to continue to open big, mighty doors, and that you just use their influence across the local and the national and the international and the global, everything, God, every dimension that you would have for them. Just help them to just stay close to you and be empowered by your spirit and your spirit alone. We love you and thank you for this time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, Miss Nina, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Ma'am, you too. Bye, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye.